Welcome back to Easy Fish Tanks, where we try to simplify the aquarium hobby for everybody who wants to jump on in. My name is Jake, and I got an exciting episode for y'all today. We're going to be diving into the world of guppies. This information will be relevant for hobbyists that have already been here a while, and especially for newcomers and beginners to the hobby. Guppies are a great fish to be your first kind of dive in to the hobby. So without further ado, if you guys are ready to splash into the world of guppies, stay tuned. Before we jump into setting up your guppy tank, let's talk a little bit about why guppies are such a great choice for beginners. Guppies are known not only for their stunning colors, but their ease of care and their really peaceful nature. They go well in community tanks or in a species-only tank. They're perfect for those wanting to start their journey into the aquarium hobby without the daunting task of managing fish aggression. So let's take a look at why you should choose guppies. The first step in creating a thriving guppy tank is setting up the right environment. So here's what you're going to need. You're going to need a tank. I recommend starting with at least a 10-gallon tank. The larger you can go, the better. But 10 seems to be the kind of average size people want to start off with that aren't 5-gallon tanks. The next thing you're going to want, step 2, filtration. Filtration is crucial in any aquarium. So there are a couple different kinds of filtration you can use. I recommend you either use a sponge filter, which you'll power with an air stone, or you could use a hang on the back filter. There's a ton of different brands. These are the filters that you see that clip on the back of the tank and they kind of waterfall down into the aquarium. Or third, my personal favorite, canister filters. Now, a canister filter might be a bit of an overkill for a 10-gallon. I would recommend most likely going with a solid sponge filter and a hang on the back filter. That way you're also getting your surface agitation, which is how you're going to have gas exchange in your water column, which is going to keep your fish healthy. Third step, unless you live somewhere in the tropics where it's always warm, you're going to want a heater. The general rule for the heater is to have the temperature between 75 to 82 degrees Fahrenheit or 24 to 28 degrees Celsius. The fourth thing you're going to need for this is substrate. Now, substrate is your choice. I recommend going with either real fine gravel or sand for a bottom. Once you get comfortable, and you get your multi-tank syndrome, then you can move on to maybe doing a dirty tank and you could have a lot of plants in the tank. But for now, I recommend just starting with a fine gravel or a sand bottom. Now, for decorations, this is going to be up to personal taste. Guppies love to have plants in hiding spots. So if you could add some live plants, that's obviously the best bet. That's also going to help maintain algae because it's going to suck up some of the excess nutrients and they just look great. But I understand that can be daunting for beginners. So you'll probably end up going with some kind of artificial plant. The best plants for these, if you're going to go artificial, would be some type of silk plant. But the guppies are small enough where your regular plastic plants really shouldn't scratch them or bother them too much. And the sixth thing you're going to need, mainly for you if you're not putting plants in there, is lighting. You want to provide light that allows you to enjoy your fish and see your fish. If you do decide to put some plants in the tank, I strongly recommend going with a night crew light. They're on Amazon and they're very affordable. Now, you don't want to be running your light all day, every day, or else you're going to have just algae growing on the glass, algae growing on the plants. You might even get the dreaded Kool-Aid water. So I recommend running your light from between 6 to 10 hours. Some lights come with a timer on them, or you can buy a wall timer. Everyone thinks they're going to be diligent and they don't need a timer. Trust me, I got 8 tanks. I need a timer. I forget all the time. And then the seventh crucial thing that you'll need isn't something you're going to look at or see inside the tank, but it's something that's going to keep the water healthy for your fish. And that's going to be a water conditioner. We use this when we're filling up the tank originally to remove the chlorines and chloramines. And then we're also going to want to use this when we are doing water changes or top offs on our tank. These are the 7 basic things that you need to have a thriving guppy tank. Now, remember, guppies are going to thrive in a well-maintained tank. So do your regular water changes. Depending on the stocking, you could do 25% a week, or you could do 25% a month even. It really depends on how many fish you have in the tank and what your water tests say. Make sure you get a water test kit. They're pretty affordable. If all you can get are the paper test strips, that'll work too. But if you see your ammonia, your nitrites, or your nitrates starting to climb, you're going to want to do at least a 25% water change. Alrighty, so now we have a basic idea of what we need to have a healthy tank for our new guppy pets. So now let's take a closer look at some of the popular species you can add to your tank. Each of these guppies has its unique characteristics and vibrant colors. So I'll go ahead and throw up some photos next to their names. So it give you a good idea of which one you might want to get. You can even get multiple different species of guppies. That's fine. They all can get along well with each other. I got 5 on the list here for you guys to choose from. So number 1, the common guppy. I'm not going to try to pronounce a scientific name, but it's the common guppy. This is a classic guppy, and it's known for its colorful tail and hardiness. You can tend to get them for just a couple bucks at all your local fish stores. Males, females. If you get a male and a female guppy, they're going to breed. All right, number 2. These have become a lot more popular lately. These are the Endlers Livebearer. These guppies are a bit smaller than your common guppy species, but they have a really striking, vibrant pattern and vibrant colors, as you can see in the picture here. Number 3, the fancy guppies. These are selectively bred for their really extravagant patterns and colors. They're some of the most favored among hobbyists, including myself, and they're pretty easy to come by. They're all the common guppy, Endlers Livebearers, and fancy guppies are all pretty easy to come by. And then we're going to go on to number 4, which is going to be your mosaic tail guppy. Now, I don't think I've ever seen these in any of my local fish store, but they're known for their mosaic-like tail pattern, as you can see in the picture here. And they're pretty. You walk by this tank, you're going to see them. They're a real eye catcher. And then number 5, the last species I have for you guys on the list today, are the delta guppies. These are the guppies that, as you can see, are characterized by a triangular tail fin, and they have vibrant colors just like the rest of the fish. But it's going to be up to you to choose and what you can find at your local fish store. I know I've seen at the Petcos and PetSmarts, they have common, fancy, and Endlers Livebearers. So that shouldn't be a problem for you guys to find. Now it's up to you to choose. All right, now you got your tank set up, and now you got the fish that you want in your tank. So now, obviously, the next natural question is, well, what do I feed these guys? So luckily for you, guppies are omnivores, and they'll readily accept a variety of food. They're not picky eaters. Pretty much anything you get for them, they'll eat. But ideally, you want to provide them with a high-quality flake or really small pellets and an occasional treat like frozen brine shrimp. Some people say Daphnia, but honestly, if you're a beginner in the hobby, you're probably not going to stumble across Daphnia, but you can find the frozen brine shrimp at all your local fish stores. It's important to remember to feed them in moderation. So just give a couple sprinkles in, watch how quickly they eat it. You don't want to put a bunch of food in and let that stuff sink down to the bottom and rot. That's not going to be good. That they could get sick if they eat the rotten food. Plus, it's just going to foul up your water quality really, really quickly. All right, this brings us to the inevitable now. You have your tank, your fish in your tank, and you fed them well, you've taken good care of them, and you probably ended up with some male and female guppies. So guess what? Congratulations. You have baby guppies. Guppies are some of the most prolific breeders in the hobby, making them a great choice if you're trying to breed fish. They will eat some of their own young. They can kind of regulate that population, but you definitely need to be prepared for there to be little baby fries swimming around in your tank. We'll cover the basics of guppy breeding in an upcoming episode, so stay tuned if you want to see more about that. How do I go about maintaining this fish tank? So to maintain a guppy tank, it's relatively straightforward, especially if you're not overstocked. I will say my biggest point is to keep your eye on your fish. Keep your eye on the water quality and the temperature, and just observe your fish, enjoy your fish. But while you're looking at them, see to make sure that they don't look sick, they're not swimming weird, they're not sitting on the bottom, and keep your eyes peeled for any sign of disease or illness. Now, when you do your water change, I recommend doing no more than 25% at a time, especially on a 10-gallon. And you could just do that with either a gravel vac hose or what I like to use is a Python hose. That way I can just hook it up to an outlet outside, turn the tap on. I don't have to mess around with buckets. But if you're not going to use a Python, then you're definitely going to want to get a 5 gallon bucket and a gravel vac so you can do your water changes. Don't be doing it with a pitcher or sticking your hand in the tank. You risk chipping the glass. I've done it. So yeah, either get a gravel vac hose or a Python hose and just do your 25% water changes once a week at first, and then you can dial it back to probably about once a month. Now, when it comes to your filter, I've seen this time and time again. My own father has been guilty of it. He takes all his filter media out, he throws it away, and then he runs off to Petco and buys new filter media, and he can't figure out why his tank is struggling. Only time you need to clean your filter is when the water flow is reduced. If your hang on the back filter barely has a trickle coming out, or your canister filter is barely pushing any water, then it's time to clean your filter. But do not just throw the media away. You want to take the media out of your filter, and the media is all the stuff that's in the back of the filter or inside the canister filter. So that's going to be your sponges, your carbon. I personally don't use carbon in any of my tanks. I just use sponges and filter floss. But you're going to want to take your sponges out, and you're going to want to rinse that in a separate 5 gallon bucket of your own tank water to make sure that you don't kill off all the beneficial bacteria that lives in the filtration. That's what keeps your tank healthy, is beneficial bacteria. So you could do all these other things right, but if you go and you destroy your beneficial bacteria colony by replacing all your media or hosing off all your media with chlorine, then you're going to be back at square one and you're going to have a bad time. So remember, just keep your eyes on your fish, make sure they look healthy, do your water changes as needed, and do not throw away your filter media and buy new filter media and stick it in each time. It's a waste of money, it's a waste of time, and it's not going to do anything well for your fish. Well, that's a wrap for a beginner's guide to guppy fish tanks and brief species profile. I hope you found this episode helpful as you start your journey or want to continue the hobby. Maybe you didn't get guppies as your first fish. But yeah, I hope this was helpful as you guys go on your journey into the world of guppies and into the world of fish keeping in general. It's a great hobby. Just takes some patience, takes a little knowledge, but mostly patience. If you have any questions or suggestions for future episodes, please leave them in the comments down below. If you want me to clarify on anything in this episode, leave a comment down below and I'll make sure to address it. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll never miss any of these episodes. Thanks for joining us today on Easy Fish Tanks, and happy fish keeping.